part two of the other video is July 20th, and I'm just going to go back to the part where I was talking about the young mid-manager for DPC who was from or transferring from DLA Columbus. He was managing DPC and as a customer service representative for DLA. And so I didn't know if he wanted to pull me in to work for him. And so I basically was saying when I was recording that he either wanted to be more than professional off duty and he didn't know how to do it because, he asked me, or he told me he had a girlfriend. And, I think I told him, that I was, seeing someone. But, you really don't talk to people about their significant other. And I was only at my desk for about 6 weeks. So it was like June after I got assigned there in 2011. And so basically, I told him I lost confidence because he was nonchalant. He didn't seem to want to go out to lunch. And I told him, I asked him, is it quid pro quo? Meaning that if he felt that I was being too aggressive, that he would have to investigate the reasons why I was doing that. And he failed to do that. And so about, that took me 18 months to ask him that because I thought he would actually show up and find out or tell me what it was he was trying to let me know. There was someone who was trying to get him and I to dance, dance at work or dance after hours with him and his wife, which would be cool. It's socializing, right? I think this person knew how to socialize. The younger man did not. And so I would have been open to going dancing just to find out what was going on, or to develop hobbies with people I work with. And hobbies would be fine. It didn't have to be sexual, right? And so basically, I also walked the Wissahickon Trail, and I do believe there was a reason why I did that, because maybe I was told that would be a good place to meet or run into this individual. He never showed up. And so based upon the fact that someone had already, I'll say gaslight him a little bit to kind of put fire underneath his little passive-aggressive ass, he failed to do that. And when he took the lead on trying to put himself in my life as a middle manager, it looks like he was buffering something to either keep me from going to corporate, to buffer the fact that Pamela Tall did not want me to go to corporate because I know that's where I was headed. And so she used him against me. And then when she turned him against me, he became very disgruntled and cantankerous as a young 40, I think he was 38 at the time. And now he's a lot more cantankerous, a lot more bitter based upon what she did. And honestly, had she stayed out of it, his attitude would be better in life, and things would be different. And so I was also hitting upon the fact that when I talked to her before I decided, I didn't know, like either I was deciding to leave, but she was pushing me out, right? Based upon the fact that she asked me, if I was going to college. I'm like, oh, maybe that's probably the best route. Maybe I need more school. She said, make sure you take notes. And then the other thing I was hitting on when my videos did not record, there was fraying of my documents. She told me to make sure that I took copious notes because someone will be stealing copious notes, but I think I inferred that someone will be stealing something from me. When she said that, that alluded to the fact that I would be going to school and I would be missing something, right? I mean, that's logic. And, so there are so many things that these people have done that they did knowingly. This is not like spyware or being a spy, right? But these people are saying things within their organizational ability to do so, or within their managerial duties to do so. But the way they did it was wrong. But anyway, I already covered DeWalt and small business. Sorry, that was my highlight, and I really got through that one. But anyway, with what she was doing, she was canvassing me. She was using my work. She actually held me down. I didn't get promoted, and all the other things with being a campaign veteran and the ICAPT employee that, you know, I didn't get the privileges of. And so when I tried to meet this guy where he stood or figured that out, it wasn't, he didn't take a, you know, he didn't, I mean, something did happen, you know, like we began line dancing at work, which I don't know why that happened. I talked to somebody else about line dancing, and so that's, you know, when it happened. And then, so basically, I think what was happening then, other people were like thinking that they would probably pull me into another section, and that was fine. And that would have been okay. And so Pamela got involved with that. So, you know, nothing was good enough. And I am here now where something else is missing. And I think where I was heading, because I went on about 15 minutes after I noticed that my recording had stopped, that there's an absence of national security. There's an absence of Freedom of Information Act. There's an absence of Privacy Right Act laws. There's absence of intellectual property rights protections. There's absence of, let me see, misrepresentation or failed misrepresentation under the law, or the opposite, which would mean representation of the law or color of the law, or then that would mean there is deprivation of the law, meaning like something's being squeezed or choked off. And with that being said, like I was saying, I had a thumb drive case with all my work from OU. So that would have been 1997 on my thumb drives. And I smashed them up after Pamela was saying she was going to ransack my house and take them from me. And even before that, she told Michael Zabel to have Officer Michael Monahan come to the office to arrest me after he told me using MK Ultra that he and she set someone up to have my thumb drives transported to Michael Zabel. Oh, and then my neighbor, she actually said she had them and that she was looking at pictures and all that. So I maybe fell for the okie doke. But, you know, she was like looking at my Excel documents. And then one of my instructors from Con 170 said that he sanctioned off on what she was doing by and large because he was trying to find out if I was using proprietary information from the CPIC formulation on Excel documents that, you know, to make sure that I did not give away the contractors or the government's objective, which that is pretty much widely known or whatever. I don't know. Anyway, he was letting her know that he was excited about what she was doing and that that he was okay with what she was doing. But when I asked him to stand behind the law and do what was right as an instructor, you know, investigate and find out the truth and just leave it at that. And then that spiraled out of control to the point where Michael Zabel said he had access to the same files. He also said that again in November 2020, after my arrest, as well as again in December. And then he also said that he sold Excel documents to Michael Kahn and John Wallenbacken for Excel books. When I did toggles and different things with moving averages and all that most people have either didn't fix. Maybe it's online. It's online actually. There's people who do Excel College online or Excel for fun who know how to do the same thing. So my stuff is not, it's not new. They just have to do their freaking research. So egg on you, because now we're sitting with a fraudulent felony charge against me, but he lied about it. So when he lied about it, now there's bringing a lot of problems against him. So basically, this is Pamela Tall's friend or someone that they know or partner with in the neighborhood to cause this grand production of what it looks like to be in the life of LaGale Brown to determine what. And so when you bring in a state rep, the school district, the police department, school administrators, and federal contractors, as well as the Army, then and hospitals and the VA and the benefits administration, it becomes a grand production of which I'm involved with something with the federal government. And all these agencies have lied to me using mind to skull technology. And when they have lied, they have colored it. And I'm going to use this is a new term, colored it how to drive LaGale insane. And then on the other part, there is the fact that in that insanity, there was conspiracy to commit murder because I had internal damage. And so, Pamela said yesterday that AKAs go through this, but that's not true because she's lying again. AKAs don't haze their sorors and beat them to death and take their internal organs or brains or try to break their legs or break their kneecaps or break their feet or hips, or spine or remove a spinal cord and all the things they've done to me. So that's not a woo, Pam, keep it to yourself because it's ignorant. And so, it's not a matter of doing a dovetail on this thing to say it was this, it's this, but it's not. Because in organizational management and even Pendleton Act or any violations that they're doing right now, number one, everything that they're doing violates the Pendleton Act. And the Pendleton Act is basically briefly this, something I figured out or read about, is this man was a postal employee and that something was going on with him in his being called to service. Either they were saying that he wasn't found fit for service or they hired him and then determined he wasn't fit for service and he ended up shooting Taft. So he shot the president, a postal employee. And how many levels down? And that's got to be at least, see, the post office is not an executive agency, I don't believe. And it's like maybe, an administrative agency. So how many levels down from the flagpole? That's how I use flagpole, is that network from the top. Or actually, it's not even a network. How many levels down are you from the executive when you have a job as a postal handler? And then something had to happen, and again, had to be missing for that postal employee to not be able to conduct his business as a postal handler. And that this act now is the barometer, or has been the test of, of sound character for a federal employee. And so all of these things I'm going through violates all those other things I said. And with all those things being missing, I think maybe in fact, I heard yesterday from Ellis, she depends on the government too much. That's what a racist will say. And by fact, like, I not that I'm on welfare. That's not it. Or the fact that I was on welfare, or that helped me as a kid because, like, my dad worked and my mom, had supplement, or, we were supplementing or whatever, which everybody did. He didn't make a lot. So she was in her rights to supplement the income. He said that I depend on the government too much. I'd like to see how. Got up for 12 years, put on my uniform, I raised my kids. I got maybe, $156 and a few food stamps, but, I did that again to supplement, and then I did get a job, but they only want to pay me $7.60 to be a manager at the airport for a medical billing company. And so I left for the Army again. And after that, I did 8 years. So total 8 years, combined service number of like maybe 14, 15 years. And so all these elements are missing. And then, so the fact is now I'm supposed to say, or I'm supposed to hear that I depend on the federal government too much. And so what has happened as a result, and I'm finding this is another thing missing, is loyalty in the family. My mom has been violating my enlistment contract, my civil servant contract, my employment contracts with every vendor or every private industry corporation I worked for. She's done a lot of mystery things to cause problems with people that I work for, to cause them to fire me. And now yesterday I'm hearing, after I want to meet with the Masonic order because Richard Ellis is a Mason or pretends to be, which needs to be determined. So, today I'm like in a holding pattern because I did make a call to John something from the Grand Lodge in Philadelphia on Sunday, and I made that call at, let me see, 1:04 on Sunday after I left the Shriners Hospital, and the number is 215-988-1900. That's Broad and Arch. And so I have been hearing that Richard Ellis has convoluted that. He told my mom to fail to have them contact me. I feel like as a granddaughter of a worthy matron, who I know at the time, maybe I don't understand quite fully, who's never quote unquote done anything to me or allow me to know anything that she's done against me that would make me need to confront her. We did talk, we talked, but I'm not really sure if there was something missing there either. I do have a lot of things missing in my life with people that I should trust, and that loyalty based upon my enlistment would actually, and I was actually thinking somebody would catch this actually in 99. That if my mom was doing something or because she was intentionally late when she got to my BNOC graduation, was she intentionally doing something in Richmond or wherever she was at, and I think it was Richmond, to be late, or maybe it wasn't. It maybe something very casual. She was like either 15 minutes or 30 minutes late. I was looking at her hard because I was due to make staff sergeant. And I didn't want anybody in my life that was just like, out there on a limb. I would have to cut ties with people and keep away from people that would, disrupt my ability to be a leader. I was hoping that would come up. Or somehow an investigation, or I would hear about it. But you know what? I did think about it. And somehow I did get at least 5 or 6 different signals of something going wrong in my life in Korea. So something was happening. Maybe 7, all right, maybe 10. There's just a lot of stuff going on in Korea. Wow, I'm gonna have to sit and count those. And anyway, so basically what I'm saying to you is I need to talk to the Masons, to talk to this other Mason, because I'm the daughter of a worthy matron, granddaughter of a worthy matron, and a granddaughter of a 96 degree Mason. If there's a problem in the way the Masons has handled my family and the way that they carried out those duties, or an indicator that there's a problem from the past, or of something with regards to what happened in the past, then I have every right to sit down and talk to these people to figure out what's going on. I've never had to do this before. I never wanted to. And most times what these people have done, and I guess, from what I'm saying, I've heard, is that these Masons would actually call somebody to court or have a trumped up charge against people who in the army would say that the only thing you have to do is show your ring, and everything will be fine. And so that was just, and so what I'm saying though is those people would always take care of that background situation that was always going on to keep everything at the government level just so that it would not overlap or seamless. And I would have to say, and I don't, maybe there has to be more than me that are experiencing this, because my children, one of my children's adult family member friends, some adults in the school district, my estranged husband, his other girlfriend, and I want maybe her sister, and then her daughter, and then another person that I kind of hear loosely is associated with them, have been having problems with the ability to get along with these people. And I don't have one. I don't have a ring. But there's, and I do the best I can to deal with what I have, with which I have from my mother. And actually, I threw away the heart ring that she gave me because I don't trust her. And so yesterday she told me that she got in the way with what the Masons would either want to hear or call me about, to return a phone call or to engage with me in any way. And so that's not the first time. I probably made upwards of 200 phone calls now where no one's called me back. And then last night I heard that she is the person, along with Jane, because it cannot just be with Mae Brown, to shut the government down. But then that has to be in my case. And so can I ask for a survey to determine if that's the case? Maybe I'll reach out. Should that be the case? And actually, my associates, or loosely, because, I've only done a few things with these people because they are one of the watchdog elements of the Office of Management and Personnel, which is, GovLoop. I think, hopefully they're doing good. Maybe they should have picked up this by now and find out what is going on with services in the federal government, and if in fact we're being shut down. And a lot of it has a lot to do with COVID. And so, I'm probably just going to leave this here. And all the things that are missing and that continue to be missed drives me to another level, of survival. But I'm not going to. Here's the thing, when you believe in God, everything is possible with God. When he says that I depend on services from the government, what he's meaning is he's going to try to take my federal, my federal pension, but my compensation and pension away from me, based upon the problems that I have that happened to me when I was on active duty. Yesterday I was told that what gave me, I have plagiar gastritis, and which has, based upon my diet, I gotten rid of it. But it keeps reemerging based upon the fact that James Radcliffe sends toxins and what do they used to call these? Toxins and, they have to be, demons, so that's just, let me just put it out there, which normally would not be so prevalent in someone's life, would actually just be the fact of you're just going through maturation, you're aging. But most people don't wish on people what has been wished upon me. But anyway, repeating plagiar gastritis. So it was arthritis, plagiar gastritis, meaning I had something wrong with my neck. I do have problems with vertebrae nerves that are attached to my stomach and my intestine, which would cause a backup or some different type of, and it's not reflux, but then gas doesn't cause like a backup. Well, actually, that's not right. Actually, it did. So the backup would actually irritate my arthritis, which happened, and then that arthritis would never subside. And that didn't change until after I went to a meeting with the Lupus Foundation at Franklin Mills Mall, I think it's called, the Franklin Mills Mall in the Chamonix. I talked to them, and I probably should I may have got rid of everything I had with them, but I did, maybe some background research with them about all the things that were bothering me, and they were really good at what they did. And then a couple of them were actually service, employees of the federal government or municipal government, or maybe a bus driver or something, who talked about what was happening with her. And they even talked about the fact that, women with lupus have issues with their sex organ too, which, I was actually going through and had gone through after I joined the military, where it seemed that there was something after my accident. My lower spine connects to my lower part of my body, which irritates my genitalia, which causes a problem even with that. And so that is actually a flare-up of arthritis, which these people from the Lupus Foundation found that out, and they'd already knew it, and they were so good with what they were doing. But I think I stopped going to those meetings because I had missed some, and my daughter, I didn't have a good place for her, and I really didn't want her around that kind of stuff, because I was geriatric, right? Like in my early 40s, and one morning I couldn't even get out of bed. And so basically I was thinking that as much as I was finding out about my situation, that there was someone else actually putting forward what they knew about me. In one way it would help me, in another way maybe not so much. But here's why. Because now, after dealing with the CIA, that same exasperation of the lower pelvic area, which I thought was PID, and I went to the doctor and explained that to them, has been taken out of my body, and it's not just based upon the fact that it is a freaking miracle. They burned it out using probes, like they also use in people's anuses. They also use it in my vagina, or they position it in an area where it would be there. Richard Ellis also sent a 3D, but it wasn't panoramic. But the way it kind of you could sense is that it was a big mollusk or snail or something like that, where he pretended to have sex with me. But at the time, he was actually removing something from my vagina. And then they started taking things out of my spinal cord or my larynx, and they took my windpipe and things like that. And so when he did that, and they're trying to call that basically odontological but it's otorallopathy. And I'm sorry, I might have it wrong. I did spell it out, but it doesn't exist. They're trying to call it something that it just isn't. They're saying it's from Afghanistan. And so what I'm telling you is, Ellis is using something from CIA that was generated to remove something from people's bodies that is against the Nuremberg Code. And this has all been outlawed after the Nazi Germany camps and everything like that. And so what I'm trying to say is that I believe that if I could go back to that root statement, but basically someone in my purview knew something about me. And if in order for me to keep exposing certain things about me, then it seemed that I would have, this is hindsight, but I can't say that I thought that. So let me try again. I didn't make most of those meetings or all those meetings because I believed that it would cause me to be either psychosomatic or hypersensitive. But then I said at point blank after 2016 that I would check myself into the hospital and finally have my exit physical determine, like what's wrong with my back, why am I having these problems with my back and my spine, the problems with my herniated disc, did I need fusion in my back to stop the pain, fusion in my neck to stop the pain. And so what, I'm trying to put together here today is the fact that this was not an organizational scheme to bring me back into the agency. I God forbid not that. But then, actually that's not even where I was headed. The Masons is the only place that I probably could get a determination, as to how to bring these people or bring closure about what they should be doing and should not be doing. I can't get it from, going high up. And I probably even missed the mark on everything that I was talking about, because that TAF situation, is probably something that is very important and, has been, left out. And as to the reason why he would actually feel upset to the point where, somebody, either McCarthy, is behind to death like I'm experiencing, and it should not be happening in this modern government. So I'll just go and, leave the video for now, or stop videoing today, because this veteran's experience is so far outside of what a veteran goes through. And honestly, if it was something else and it was left to be that, then it would just be, just that. But I'm just going to, just even reach out with the veterans in administration, that special operations team that used to be the OIF, that, Julie works for as a program manager. She needs to tighten down the screws with that because, Harry about 4 months ago said that he was going to continue working with them to do experiments. And what they were doing, they were coming up with a youth program off of Powelton Avenue in West Philadelphia to probably still do something with people's mechanics, internal organs. They're doing a lot of research on people in their homes outside of what they would normally do in a lab. And most times, that research would come to the effect where it would be based upon the hospital doing a solicitation or being solicited by the federal government to do these types of experiments, and that would actually have to be prefaced through the Human Health Services and the CDC, which hasn't happened. And, with Harry, from what he says and what he's been doing, along with James Cuneo, these people have been doing things where there is record of contracts for certain things, but some of these health elements they're not doing contracts for. And, you have to have people volunteer. People happily will volunteer, if they know what it is, or maybe, or the fact is that you're not soliciting for volunteers. Maybe it's just too dangerous. And then the other side is of it is that it is too experimental, that it should not have happened. And, something is buzzing my consciousness right now in the fact that when Harry's doing all this stuff, it has something to do with Lena, or people who know Lena, and then people that Meghan Markle, kind of, buddy up with, and that lack of understanding. First of all, she doesn't even have a nurse's license. She don't know what the fuck she's doing. And Lena doesn't either. And so if this is involuntary or some type of illegal experimentation, then it should have been vetted properly. And just because you're going through the VA doesn't mean you have the right to do this to people or veterans. And so there have been mistakes because, like, see, the innuendo again is like 2 weeks ago there were 14 veterans found up in Erie, I think, Pennsylvania, shallow graves for veterans, and then again in Indiana, veterans who have been who are lost. But this is not at the wartime. This is not people who are wanted at large, or even among the fact that that 14 people would go missing and then found in one area. So there's like, okay, dumping of people. Yeah, you really, isn't there a lot missing? How are you missing these things? And then here's the other thing, and here's a smart thing that somebody would have done. And honestly, I don't know how this is coming up, and I don't like how my hair is, but I'll just get over it. But oops, I just lost something. But let me just try this. Under FAR Part 35, which this doesn't fall in, so let me get out of that. I think there's an HFAR for health. Who's a smart person who's going through HFAR? Or even, let's do who's going through GSA to find out how to source that? Who at the VA is failing to understand what the buyer's route is, or how to even use that, the regulations, and then to even not acknowledge the fact that you're not using regular. And so maybe just by chance, none of that even fits, because that's how I think. The way they think is kill at large, don't be responsible, don't be accountable, don't answer to anyone. People are still in this country. We still live here. This is not Siberia. But it's 2021, and 14 of my comrades are gone. Let's say 21 are gone. July last year, which was a year ago, when I was at Arby's, it was made known by James Radcliffe that 5 million veterans had been attacked, similar to the way I have been. And that since the outlawing of that, I want to say, I don't know, maybe this is right, that 50 million overall since either 47 or 71 have been hurt the way I have been hurt. And so here's the logic that would be missing in that. The fact that I'm still here, and I tell you, like, they have done things to me which they have to answer to. So the Masons, if there is a faux pas, or not even a faux pas, a fallacy in what the Masons are doing here, and they like make things disappear, because I did have a dream that something would be disappearing, that I would only be left with an esophagus, a stomach. Several times I was shown that I didn't have a brain. And several times I was shown that my sister did not have a brain. And but I have 4 sisters or whatever, but like my sister, the second oldest, or the second sister to me, did not have a brain. And basically, I'm hearing that 50 million have suffered the same. So where are we? What are we doing? If normally, and they're saying this happened to other people and they died, and like 3 days ago, I was told 5 veterans were attacked, or 5, let's say civil servants were attacked, and they are dead now. uh, just to test what they've done to me, and everything they've done to me, they call quote unquote preserving me, because my grandmother smoked um, angel dust, and they said that that preserved her. I don't even know why I even think to do that, but that's what they're saying she did, maybe to fight off what is going on with Richard Ellis, because he did follow her and did trap her from North Carolina. It's almost like trapping a person. Like you make a person move from North Carolina to the Bronx or wherever she moved to, and then she lived there, and then force her from working in New York to Philadelphia. He did that, and so this like trapping a person, and then you're saying that 50 billion, and then 5 million within the last 5 million within the last year, 50 million within the last number of years after the Nuremberg Code. Then you have, in my case, I lived. So there, I didn't eat anything different when I was a kid. There was nothing that tastes nasty. Everything was clean. There was nothing on my body or in my body that would cause me to have any failures physically, or do anything that I couldn't normally do. And everything I've done was hard. I had problems breathing. So what really prompted this was plagiaristic, right? Well, that plagiaristic came from the fact that James Radcliffe had something put or inserted in the bottom of my lungs, and I had fluid building up on my lungs, and they caught it in 1999. I caught it in 99, and I began to have night sweats, and it wasn't AIDS. And so basically, then I started having swelling of the cerebellum. So it went from the middle chest area, past the sternum, or below the sternum, above the sternum, excuse me, and then above the neck, and then below, in my, area there. I was telling you, but all this was based upon how, after the car accident, my body was reacting to stress. And all this stuff happened after 91. So I had, if you call a spinal failure, I was having spinal failure. There was things happening to my back that was causing me to have to adjust to things, and my body was just going crazy. But the thing with the fluid on my lungs was plagiaristic, or arthritis with plagiaristic. And anyway, what I'm saying to you is, they didn't do anything to cause me to live. They didn't put anything in me to help me fight better. Everything that was being done to me was being done to kill me. And even when I went to live fire, that was like, yeah, I think I got over the burn. You know what? The way the bullets were singing past me, it wasn't a simulator, and they were supposed to be simulating. And they had people in certain lanes shooting at people. 5,000 rounds were shot over everyone, I believe. 10 to 5 to 10,000, I'm not sure. But they're even saying that was supposed to kill me. I was shot at when I was in Kuwait. Something was going on with me when I was at the mess hall in Kuwait. How did I end up going to another DFAC? Oh, well, I went to another dining facility after I was waiting to come back home, because I found out I was pregnant. But, basically, that plagiaristic didn't happen to me until after 97. And so James Cuneo told me that he entered my apartment by going to McShay Realty and getting the key. And he told them that he was my husband, and that he had lost the key, or I took the key from him, and he either probably had to come to the house or get something, whatever, but wasn't the case. He was in my apartment, and he was doing something to my apartment then. He was in my apartment. He said he took a urine on my brand new leather furniture, and did other things to me. And so, I don't want to go too long, but what I'm saying to you is, folly of the law used to be something that I used to hear on the NBC network for, I think, the Mob Squad or something like that. And basically, all these people, silent generation boomers, in between, they are done, son. I mean, they're freaking done. I mean, they're like so stupid right now. And the reason why that even is a problem for me is the fact that um, there's just so many people that I'm having to talk to that I don't get the right response from. They're calling and shutting down the government. A survey needs to be done. You know why? Because if we don't continue to have forward momentum and we let this, whatever's happening with me, be, oh, the sob story. Oh, she was, molested, and somebody was raped, and her intellectual property was stolen. And I'm not saying don't. I mean, that sorry is not what I'm asking for. Right process is what I'm asking for. But all the other melodrama behind all this is a loser's limp. Loser's limp or limp. Because somebody wants you to feel sorry instead of being pissed the fuck off. Get it together. Because honestly, you're losing so much momentum behind what's going on. And if you can't put this together with the fact that, like, in 2016, it was a measles, and somebody was trying to do something with measles outbursts in Philadelphia. I think we had maybe some of the one of the most, or the highest case for a city, which, I'm sorry, I don't live there. I mean, highest outbreak in the state. Then here comes the corona. But then, so, like, even last night, I'm going to get off this thing that I heard from somebody from England that, see, now here's not it. This is not what I heard. This is what I know. That the variant in England, people are actually being infected or experiencing additional problems with COVID after having the vaccination. And then, I was told last night, oh, we're killing all the people in England because, how do we say, I don't know. I think what's going on is the monarchy is killing people in England because the monarchy is upset that they're going to be put out of rulership or something of that effect. So they're trying to take England by force, is what I think I heard. And then we have alpha, omega, beta, whatever. I can't remember what it was on, the Bolera strand of the COVID that just came out of England. So let me ask you a question. Really? How does, or maybe I'm missing it, right? I'm missing it. Since 2020, there's been variants coming out of England, but this was generated from a lab somewhere. How does multiple variants come out of a country that is experiencing the same number of problems that other countries are experiencing with the same virus? And are we unknowledgeable as to the fact that it seems that those variants are being sent to other places like India and like America? I don't even know about South America. So does that mean that they are actually being aggressive? I don't know. Maybe that's just a rhetorical question. A rhetorical statement. Rhetorical question. Excuse me. That England, really? I told you when I was in the hospital 4 years ago, this is a attack on America. It is an attack on our democracy. And they're doing it in such a way that is not detected. And when they said they were having a flyover, which, I don't know, it could have been simulated that it was like the Air Force. I'll give them that. But I don't think so, because it took about an hour and 15 minutes for those aircraft and the way they sound, and they split the air. They don't sound like, or did not sound like, American aircraft. And when they flew over the hospital where I was at, I was told that, they were going to hit Delaware County. And this is where Harry Windsor has spent most of his time here, I guess, after the age of 15 when he lived in Malikia Hills with Pamela Tull. And so he has done a lot of dirt in Delaware County. And what he professed to do is use the Freedom of Information, third-party vendors to the FOIA agency, which they actually sent belly up. And what they did when they did that, they actually corrupted that agency. And I don't really know how, but then they shut it down. And I have to go back and think about how I feel about that, because there was a FOIA agency in Philadelphia on Spring Garden, I believe. And I wanted to get hired there. And I don't know if I got out the car and went there to see if they did a local hire. I think I did, but I couldn't get in or something like that. But anyway, the point of the matter is there's a lot of what he's doing with what he did with Boeing and with Lockheed. And when he hit Lockheed and Boeing in 2019, people thought that it was like, I don't know, a fallacy or a lie. Helicopters hovering. I think I heard a reverberation of gunshots. I also was told by one of my team leads at Lockheed that 15 employees were hurt there or intimidated or maybe pistol whipped. And then at Boeing, 40 people were killed. And then I'm going to leave on this. This is 52 minutes, but basically, this again, something's missing, right? So, in September of 2020, sorry, let me try it again. September 25th, 2020, at about 9:15, I'm hearing echoes of AK-47s going off in a couple townships over towards the west of where I live. And I actually did see a flash to bang, which for me, it means something, and most people don't know what it means. But basically, well, actually it tells you how far the impact area is. So I got in my car and I observed, but I was scared to call Wallingford, but I did try to communicate the best way I possibly could to let them know that there was something going on in that area. Something else went on, though, that was covered up by sex with men, which probably isn't the case. Someone Carson Wentz lived in Swarthmore or Wallingford, that in that area. I think he's the one who heard me. I don't know if I wrote that down. Excuse me for the nerves of scratching. I think he's the one who heard me. Yeah, he's the one who heard me. They were actually coming to kill him. And, he reacted. And then he had help. And so I guess it kind of worked out. But basically, what was going on, this was something that was orchestrated by Harry Windsor. And so, all of this fighting and the way that he's doing it, it's being silenced under the CIA. It's not like something that is not privileged. The Freedom of Information Act is there. The information is there for you to find it. The way I'm being surveilled, he's being surveilled the same way, or surveyed the same way. The things I'm telling you that I heard, I'm not saying I'm making it up, because I hear different things, all the time. I hear what I hear and don't want to hear anything, so I sleep most of the time, so I don't hear anything. But when I do hear something, I tell or talk to someone who can help. And so with that Like I'm telling you, 2 DOD contractors were hit, and then the Swarthmore or Wallingford police department would have been hit that night. Um, so, I'm not trying to, you know, this is not a personal thing between him and I. It's not that. But by the involvement of Ellis and Richard, it has become that way. And so their lack of logic, their lack of responsibility, their lack of care, their lack of concern for the American public, their lack of concern for American safety, or which is the public and public safety, to do what they're doing, it hurts me to my heart. It really does. And it's not the fact that I rely on government Richard Ellis. For many years, I have been involved with the government. I have in coronation ceremony to be involved with the government, which was against, like, maybe I wouldn't want that for myself, but I was or am a part of that. So that, for the lack of better terms and understanding, there was a coronation ceremony. And so with that being said, I can't do anything but either walk away from my country or be a part of my country. And for me to survive, you have tied so many different elements of my ability to survive with the federal government. And then I'm hearing this morning that I need a conservatorship of lawyers who would actually do something for me. Negative. The lawyers that I went to or have gone to are corrupt, and they are Navy employees or Navy service members. Bernard Berman on the low, is corrupt, and he actually said that it was his ideal to do either, I think it was rape my mom. Yeah, it was his ideal to rape my mom is what he told me. But this is after I went to him and hired him. How does one person keep walking into the same people that were involved with either my mom issues or with mine? Question mark. And so the other lawyer that was associated with James Cuneo and Meghan Markle, I'm so sick of hearing that name. I'm going to have to double check and see how many times I called that name by now. I'm so sick of it. I think I call that name or think about that name more than I think about my own. I don't even want to even know. And so basically, she had Dean Babler, who became an attorney, but at the time when he was from what he says, living in Norman, Oklahoma, he was an EMT, and that they were doing things to my son, causing him problems, and which resulted in him being harmed sexually at his daycare, and or him acting out, which I had to go back and double check on how he was acting out. I think he was trying to have a girlfriend or something or the other, but he was acting out in school too, based upon what was going on with him. And so Dean Babler is the other lawyer that I went to file a civil rights case against the federal government with regards to failed misrepresentation, etc. And he turns out to be one of the persons who initiated the whole thing when they wanted to extract ovaries from my body to freeze them. And they're saying that I'm the first person. Let me think about that. Nope, that is not true. The first person, and when I caught it, would have been in 1997, where she froze ovaries in her refrigerator. No, froze semen. Excuse me. She froze semen in her refrigerator and got pregnant, is what what was on the news. But I don't know if, so I might be incorrect. He may be correct, whereby I was the first person that they were doing in vitro, or actually learned how to do in vitro. And so from what I was told, um, they did something on me, or some type of, again, illegal experiment on me to extract ovum from me and froze them. And then the story, and then the crime, or the account of the crime, is that over 5,000 ovum of mine was given to 5,000 women to have children, which this may have been a situation of an urban legend that happened with another woman. Um, I don't know anything about it. And it wasn't something that I was trying to find out. And he did other things. So he did, maybe like 10 to 15 things. I told the bar association about it, or the disciplinary council about it, to ensure that he stays away from me and what I have and don't have, or access to what I need to know about myself. He just does not need to have, or represent me in any way. But these lawyers are crummy, and they need to be held accountable. So, there's other things that need to be done with law as well. So, and so to keep America away from dirty law, which, again, folly of the law and dirty laws has happened, or has been the case in my life. That should not be the case. And again, Richard Ellis is the person I need to sit down and talk to determine who he knows, what he knows, and how he knows what he knows. And then federally and legally, he's supposed to discharge that information to the right agency. He is not the right agency. And lastly, Tull was in a communications class at Villanova University, and I actually drew at straws because I was told about a failed or a expired federal communications license that was not renewed. And I called Boeing and asked them, how to get access to canceling what I was hearing, or the use of satellites. And I told her, or asked her, is it her or she who has the access to having an instructor who has access to some type of communications radio or something like that, with frequencies of 1420, 1440, 1460. Maybe they're calling it DoD spectrum now, which probably is a freaking lie. So let's just go there. It's DoD spectrum, which is probably a lie, which is probably the piece that we're using now. This is probably it. That is called cellular technology, which is probably that piece of that radio and how that the frequency and the satellites are going, or are being connected. And so that would only be the case because I was not able to hear as loud as I hear now. I was able to determine that something was going on around me, but I can hear them now. I think I experienced something. I need to double check. No, it wasn't. Let's see. I was listening to static, and I could hear in the static that people were talking. And it was not necessarily like the cross between another radio station and, on the dot. And maybe perhaps it was just like maybe CD or CB communications or something like that. But I was hearing something. So maybe, it was just like little nuances or certain things that I was actually picking up about people and how they interact with people, or how did it seem people in the area where I live knew something about everybody, or seeing people were nosy. So that's probably why I started asking in 77, Mom, is there something wrong with, like, I don't know, maybe communications, or if there's a violation of communication, can you call and report them? Is what I heard somebody read back from that illegal transcript that they have based upon this eavesdropping. And so there's just a lot of documentation out there about my life, which again is another sign and symbol of too much involvement. I'm not relying on the government. So the government's relying on me. So Ellis, you need to get that straight. But anyway, I asked her if there was a teacher in her midst who allowed that to happen, and if she's actually the one who needs to fix that problem. There's just too many problems for these federal agencies to fix, but they don't acknowledge them as problems, and that's really what's missing. Um, so if DoD 5 spectrum is generated from a source, where is that source coming from? How was it developed, and then how was the other frequencies in which they call the Illuminati frequencies being dispersed? Is that from submarines? So there's several things. Is it the USS New Jersey? Is there something in the Commodore Barry, which I was told that there was a ship there, um, and off the port of Chester? So I'm just going to leave it here. It's 106, and in the recording, and now it's 3:33. So this is my second video, and yeah, I'm just getting over a funk with this, and I'm praying for better and hoping for better, and I just am livid to the fact that when I called my mom, that she said she wouldn't help me, and I guess in her way of being funny and picky and rude, she leaves me out, but she helps over 6 people who know me and who have hurt me. My kids don't. My kids know enough about her to don't like her, I guess. Anyway, I'm out of here.